Hey, welcome to the City Council Finance Subcommittee of April 22nd. Minutes from the prior meetings of March 11th and April 8th. I'll make a motion since Councilor Risk prepared them, and I did read them, and I have no problem.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second to approve the minutes of March 11th and April 8th. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
2-0. Mayor's communication.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
Moving right along.
22,000.
Public speak. Guess we're all set there.
There's no public here.
New business. The first one is a supplemental appropriation of $22,000 for a portable water chlorinator for the water department. It looks like if I read this, I don't remember totally, but it says here it's part of the consent order of the Department of Environmental Protection, so it sounds like something that we're kind of obligated to do.
Yeah, it was mandated. Joe was annoyed about this, and actually, when we had the lieutenant governor here, this was one of the things he mentioned to her. He felt that, DEP has different, when DEP regulates something and mandates something, that's fine, but he felt like that they use different discretion for different parts of the states, and he wasn't too happy about it.
Really?
They make a
Quite an accusation.
Yeah, so they make a mandate, we follow it, because we have to. So he wasn't too happy about this, but
Discretion. In other words, they have discretion on what regulations they're going to uphold.
yeah, well, he felt like that in one part of the state they might say you have to do this, in another part they might not. He felt like they have a little bit too much of input into what regulate
Does he have
when to
real
enforce it or not. So, well, he brought it to the lieutenant governor's, to check it out. He wasn't too happy about it, but in the meantime, we do what they tell us to do. Last thing we have to do is get fined. So I know Joe wasn't happy about it.
Well, I don't know you guys, but that's a rather big statement. And Joe's not loose-lipped like that.
No,
he's pissed,
not.
he's pissed.
Yep.
And my feeling is that maybe we should ask John Steinbeck to look into it. What the hell is going on? I mean, because if he has to spend this money, it means something else isn't getting done. Right?
Of course.
The water department?
Again, I don't know.
It was because we had
Chloroform?
yes.
But does Joe disagree with they're saying we have to chlorinate better. Is Tommy Newton and Joe feeling like they're
It's not that. They said we needed a portable chlorinator when we felt the problem had been, corrected and taken care of. But they said
what's a
we have to
portable
have that.
chlorinator for? To chlorinate the wells? Do you know anything about it?
Not much more than that. It's it's for the water department to use, but he just felt that
saying portable, is this something, must be something they move
They
around
put it in a
to-
truck and they go and
Move it to
chlorinate
different parts.
a well, I would think, or something. I don't know.
He felt that the problem had already been rectified, and we shouldn't have been forced to get this.
Well, since you brought it up, I'm going to ask that
Sure.
Joe, when this gets on the public hearing, Joe needs to be there, because I'm going to ask him to go over this a little bit better for us, because he's not
Joe would be
here.
happy
Of course, we have to say yes to it.
Yeah.
But if it's something that he
Joe
can
would
get
be happy
into,
to.
I'd like to see if our representatives can deal with it, because
Sure.
that's wrong.
Yep.
I mean, I'm willing to approve it also, but again, if we could have Joe there that night, he
Sure.
could explain it to us.
I don't think we have any choice, because
No,
we
that's
can't
what I said.
override ourselves a DEP regulation. And even if they can do something, they're not going to backtrack on this, but it's for the future.
But I would like to hear what his discretion is for the future. We can always make our complaint, we got to reimburse him.
Yeah, right. I'll move that we approve.
Second, so we have a motion and a second to approve the $22,000 from enterprise retained earnings for a water portable chlorinator. Capital improvement. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. 2-0. Second item, I think we should go fairly fast.
We figured this one would make you happy.
This is $200,000 to free cash from stabilization. And I guess my only question was, I thought we were down to around 260, 270 in free cash, so that'll only leave you 60 or
My
70.
minute's at 276,
Right, so leave you the 70s.
so we still have several,
But the
unless you
deal
used
is,
it to
it's
other
the same
things.
thing. It's the same thing. If we don't put the free cash into stabilization, then the free cash just goes back into free cash for
Right.
next year. So actually, this allows us to be able
To utilize it if we...
say we needed it in July, August, September, it's there, but,
We can-
you know, stabilization is just always a good thing.
It's a savings account, otherwise
Yep.
we can't touch it
And I think the
Can't touch
only,
until December or November.
and the only difference, I think, is this requires 2/3 to get it out of stabilization versus.
Most
Right.
supplementals require 2/3.
Right.
Did you know
We figured you'd like that one.
that? Appropriations, I think supplementals require 2/3, and this requires 2/3. But we never have a problem.
Right, that's what I said, it's rare that anyone changes.
If we get 5 to 2, then I'm gonna have to figure it out. So about 76 left? What,
Yep.
is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
And you think,
Move.
hopefully we don't have too much more?
No, your timing
You
is
never
getting
know.
tight, so.
Well, do you intend to move whatever's left back in the stabilization at a June meeting or something? We could do that the night of the budget
We'll
meeting.
think about it.
I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to.
Yep.
Move to approve.
I'll second it. We have a motion, a second, to approve moving 200,000 from free cash to general stabilization. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
So dates, is that what's
I'm
next?
gonna just grab my phone.
Yep.
I meant to- So, we were hoping,
So I remember that, I tried to find an old schedule for not so much the dates, but if we can do Public Works and Enterprise the same day, and then whatever day John is,
Want to table the same one?
No.
not normally, and then if we can do, like, John has a few items in
Under Public Works.
Right.
So if we can just discuss his items,
when
Separate.
he's there.
Separate.
When we do
When he's there,
cultural
he's
and
there.
recreation. yeah.
Right.
Those are the exact notes I have here.
Yeah, you don't want, because you don't
No,
like.
the only thing I have is, I was gonna move, Public Works, because general is a long one, section 1.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's one that just pretty much,
Right.
you two have to be here for.
right,
So I was thinking, do you think we can do, it'd be the longest night, the first night
Of
we
our
do it.
life.
We could do Public Works and Enterprise in general? Do you think, or you think that's too much?
Where are we? What night are we?
Well, I mean, last year we did a Wednesday and then a Tuesday and a Wednesday.
Okay,
Which,
because I've got Melissa taking some time off.
okay.
So, so we're throwing her in the works too.
You're not allowed.
We're,
Now,
we're throwing.
we always have schools on a Tuesday because the superintendent has Andy here Tuesday.
That's right.
So she likes to come on a Tuesday. We usually do 2 Wednesdays and 1 Tuesday. So I,
Yep. And see, what's good about Tuesdays is Tuesday is usually school committee, so when it's not school committee, that's a good night.
Which
you
was
know?
my question.
For me, if Melissa's going on vacation, we avoid that week to do anything. Because I'd like Melissa here, or are you saying?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, but I mean,
Okay.
she's gonna go on vacation, so if you can't
We
go
have to
around
avoid,
it.
we have to avoid around it.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
I would do my best, because,
Right.
don't you agree? We need those.
Oh,
Right,
yeah, definitely.
right.
So-
But I mean, I'm here no matter what,
Are
so
you
you got
locked?
me whether you,
what is this, you have the school committee, is that the 12th?
Yes.
May 12th, that's it for May, correct? Because last year,
yes.
it was like, we did Tuesday the 27th, which this year would be Tuesday the 26th. When are you going on vacation?
May
She's
or
going to
April?
beginning.
I'm going May 7th to the 13th.
Okay.
Okay, so what day are you talking about? April?
He's
No,
in
May,
May.
May.
May, Tuesday in May. Oh, I'm sorry. This says 2/16. I was looking up something from last year, for next year.
See, the only problem would be the 13th. What I was looking at was the Wednesday the 13th,
Which was good, because we already have that scheduled.
and then Tuesday the 26th and Wednesday the 27th.
Those all work really good for me.
Yeah, but the 13th doesn't work for Melissa. That's it. Are you back?
Well,
No, she's not back.
So we don't do that.
She's not back till the 14th.
So,
Can we do the 6th? Is that crazy?
I think she's leaving this, no, that's a full council
Yeah,
meeting.
it's a council meeting.
Now, we could do Thursday the 14th I have, but I don't know,
hey, you know,
I'm good.
we've got another week in April.
what do you mean?
You want to start in April, you mean?
Well, I mean,
Okay,
we
so,
don't
oh
have
yeah,
a,
we've got the 5th week in April.
we don't have another council meeting in that, we don't have a council
Right.
meeting next week.
Yeah, but I have a meeting. You talk
Right.
about the 29th?
And I'd really like to announce the dates, not that any other councilors are necessary to come, but you would like to.
You know, this is the budget. We ought to do it at the
Right.
council meeting.
That's what I said to
Oh, you mean, I
to
got
set
you.
the dates.
So
we
you
do
wanna-
the 14th? I could come on a Thursday.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if JP can come, we'll,
Well, you know,
I mean, you gotta
We have
make
to
it.
set these dates.
No, that's what I said, he couldn't come tonight, so.
So, do we want to do DPW, enterprise, and general? on
Well,
one
we
night?
could talk, let's get the dates first.
So I've got the
Okay.
14th that you're here.
So if we do the 14th, so
That's-
it'd be May 14th, Thursday instead of Wednesday, and you're good with that, Melissa, right?
Yep.
And then we'll do Tuesday, the 26th.
And
May
that'll be pretty
26th.
much schools and whatever else we
Yeah, we can decide what we want to put in, and then 27th, May 27th. Now, I obviously will have to check with the superintendent, I assume she can make it.
Yeah, she'll make
She'll usually
sure.
do, as I said, if it's not a school committee
Well, we're
meeting.
giving her a month's notice.
Right, she-
Plus Tuesdays are good because that's usually when school committee is,
Right.
and then when it's not school committee, she's off.
Right.
You
Well,
know,
we're not going to have another finance meeting on the 13th.
no, we'll do that on the 14th, because I don't think we have much, we should be pretty well caught up.
Well, she may have something. We might want to spend her free cash. We never know.
She's not here on the 13th.
No, we're talking about whether we're going to have two meetings or not. So the
Right.
14th, we should
So,
cover
Right.
now,
this budget. If we could cover this budget at these meetings.
the only one I care about first, and it's only because you never know, the one where the public could come out is the schools. Because sometimes we do
Yeah,
get some
they
people.
don't, but they could.
They could. I know a couple of
Right.
years we've had 4 or 5 people come for the schools to
Right.
hear
Last
it.
year I think was just Andy.
Right.
Can you imagine what it'd be like if we could actually add money to the budget?
Right, to-
Take it from other
It's,
It's like the house of everything.
that's right, and deficit.
budget would never be-
And deficit spend too. So I'd like to keep schools for May 26th.
Okay.
Right at the first thing. So that'd be
Okay.
that. Now, I don't really care the other dates, as I said, to get,
What's the fast one?
would it be better to do public, do you think we could do 2 public safeties in the general budget, or do you think that's too much to do?
I don't think that's too much.
No, they're relatively
Public
small
safety?
budgets.
Yeah,
You know, the
police
fire and-
fire, no, I don't think that's too much.
And then we could put, I could talk to one of the chiefs and have them
Yeah.
come at right at 6, and
Yeah.
have the other come at like 6:20 or
So
something.
public
They're-
safety in
they're happy
general
to
on the
do that.
14th.
And then we'll just go into general government after that, and that will be it.
I
Is that
think that's
Okay,
great.
so public safety
And general government.
on the 14th?
and then on Wednesday, what you're gonna do, I mean, what about human services and
Okay.
park and rec?
So if we do general, would be on the first
On the
Wednesday.
14th with public safety, right?
Yeah, and public safety.
Then school on the 26th.
School on the 26th,
And
and then we got to do,
DPW, and we have to do DPW.
right, DPW and enterprise, we want to do the same day. So we
Right.
might want to do that following Wednesday.
The
Which is
27th.
the 27th.
Enterprise,
Right.
public works.
We'll do public works and
Yeah.
enterprise.
And then, so maybe this, so you're gonna do, John, culture, recreation, human services. Well, we could do debt on the 27th.
Yeah, we could do debt on the 27th.
Can I tell you
Yes.
something real quick
Sure.
about that? I'm doing a bond issue, I'm gonna get quotes next week. So I have a ridiculously overestimated number because I have no idea what the bids will come in at. So I may actually ask you to reduce one of the debt lines. Can you guys do that?
I mean, once we probably bring it up in the meeting.
We have to go to the council to do it.
Well, right, but
In other words, we can recommend,
to
if
reduce.
she comes in with a higher number, we can recommend that we reduce the budget. Reception.
Oh, I see what you mean. During the budget hearings, we would reduce the budget.
Right, because
And
I'm
then have
not.
We're allowed to do that.
And then
We're
have
just
the-
not allowed to add to it.
And then have the full
So
council
I-
vote on that reduction.
Yeah, I put in a high
People are
number.
cutting the budget, nobody's gonna complain
I
because they're
put in
not.
a high numbers
Bond.
to hope, at least I hope it's high. And hopefully, we'll get the bids in and
That high number is already existing in the budget you submitted.
correct, because I don't.
You're right. So if we cut that, where does it go? It goes to,
No, it's a debt excluded amount, so it reduces revenue and expense.
so it really doesn't do anything to the general budget?
No,
Okay. Then I don't think it doesn't have a problem.
no.
Sure.
Okay,
one's
so,
So we haven't finished.
no.
We've done one. How many departments are there? 1, 2, 3, 4,
It's like
5,
12.
6.
There's 12 sections, but
Okay, so the first Wednesday, we're gonna do section 1 and section 2. That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Section 2.
that's on the 14th.
That's on the 14th.
You-
What's 4? I don't have my book.
Do you want to do more than the schools on the 26th?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
absolutely.
Okay,
But
good.
something easy, because it might take them a while. If we
And then we're gonna do, let's go to the next Wednesday, we're gonna do, on the 27th, we're gonna do,
Public Works.
Public Works
Enterprise
and Enterprise.
and debt.
Enterprise
And culture and recreation, can we do that?
and debt.
I think if you're gonna do culture and recreation, those three, that's it. Those are three big departments. If you wanna do culture and recreation, enterprise and public works all together, it was a big meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, but didn't you want John here for some?
Well, just what we typically do is we put John on a different day,
Yeah.
but let him cover his thing.
We don't cover that part of public works, the cemeteries and all
Well,
that. We cover
you
it
have to
during
do culture
recreation.
recreation on Sunday. Do you want to do it on?
Well, we're gonna probably have to do that after the schools, maybe?
Or we could put it all on that Wednesday. I mean, it does flow right together.
Why don't we do it all on that Wednesday? Yeah, it's just a long meeting.
Yeah, they're not that long.
Okay, so we're gonna do
We'll
cultural,
move debt to schools maybe. That'll be an easy
Okay.
night.
Yeah,
That'll be
after
easy.
school, we can.
And human services is a quick.
so let's get
Go
back to
back again.
the second Wednesday, we're gonna do public works, enterprise, cultural and recreation.
Wait a minute,
Right,
Public
yes.
Works, Enterprise, Cultural and Rec.
And
Okay?
that covers all the overlapping.
And that'll be all the overlapping on that second Wednesday.
Got it.
So that will leave schools, which
Yeah.
we'll do first on that Tuesday, and then debt and interest, human services. We also have employee benefits, CPA, those are fairly short.
You want to do CPA with schools and do employee benefits with general?
That's fine.
Well, human services, is that,
It's library, no,
that's, all right,
Board of
so,
Health.
public safety, general, and
Human
then what
services.
is the third one we're gonna do there?
Did you want to do human services with,
We were gonna do,
that's back on the 14th?
we were gonna do schools.
Okay, the 26th, we're doing schools, debt and
Yeah.
interest, human services, and CPA.
That's a lot. I'm just fearful the schools will take a lot.
No.
They really
They
don't
don't
unless
take a
somebody
lot.
comes, because we just,
Yeah,
you give them a figure.
yeah, they're all set.
And then
They
the
got their-
superintendent
they got
kind of
theirs a
generally,
week ago.
the
Yeah.
superintendent kind of generally gives us a overview of what her vision is for spending the money. I mean, okay,
Whatever you want to do.
so if we go back to schools,
Schools, debt,
and then we're gonna do,
interest, and human,
you think schools, human services?
schools, debt and interest, and human services on the 26th.
Either that or move your human services to the 14th with the
Well,
public.
what's left? We didn't do yet.
That's,
That's all of them, right?
yeah, we just have we have employee benefits and CPA.
When is that? That's.
That used to be the first night, we used to do that
Yeah,
with
let's do
general.
employee, do you mind doing the employee benefits on the first night, the 14th?
Yes.
So we'll do that with-
CPA on that night, because that's easy too. We have
Okay.
4 things on that night. Public
Okay,
safety,
so we're gonna do general,
Yep,
employee benefits,
yep,
CPA,
uh-huh,
Public safety,
and public safety.
right.
on the
Right.
14th.
And you said you'd do the public safety first.
Yes, so that I could have one of the chiefs, I'll talk to one of the
Yep.
chiefs, have them come at 6, and then tell the other one, come 6:15 or something.
Perfect.
And so that they're not sitting here.
You know what, so I get this right in the minutes, and so that we're correct?
Yep.
Email.
I will
entire
email everybody and make
everybody in
sure
this
that I
room,
got it
This is
right.
what we said, and when it's good, you can send it as
we miss
information to the
anything?
whole council.
Right.
You don't have to, you're
Send-
not asking to debate.
What's that, Karen?
Did we miss anything?
Okay, so,
I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 is revenue.
11 and 12 are the summary and the estimate, so those are just a little thing at the
Yeah,
end.
so we don't need those.
Okay, so I guess the first day we're good, second day is schools, cultural, what are we doing? Or did I get that?
No,
No.
cultural's on the 27th.
Okay, so cultural is the 27th.
Right.
Will you know by the 27th whether we need to vote to reduce that bond?
I'll know next week.
Oh, then that's easy then, because we can vote to do it in finance and make sure we have it.
Right. Okay, so schools, debt and interest
Yep.
on that Tuesday, that's good? So
And then
that's-
you say
And human services as well.
Human services too?
Yeah.
So schools, debt and interest,
And
and
human
human services on the 26th,
Mhm.
right?
Tuesday, yep. So that'll be 6, 5, and 7. And the first day, we've got 1, 2, 8, and 9. Let me just make sure I got them all. The second day, so that's on that second Wednesday is cultural,
The
Human services.
27th is, yep,
DPW, enterprise,
cultural.
culture and rec.
So that's
Cultural rec.
Joe and John, who basically between the two of them and a few departments for the mayor's office cover all 3 of those 3 people.
Yeah.
But you had the human services on the Tuesday after the school.
Okay, so we're gonna do human services after the school?
Yeah, school, debt, interest, and human services. Is that what you have? That's what I have.
I would do debt and interest last, if we have to get anybody in for human services. We bring anybody in for that usually?
No.
No.
Okay. It's usually mostly your department. I mean,
Yeah,
you're
just the police and the fire and the schools and public works.
Yeah.
And then John comes.
Just so I make sure we got this. The first Wednesday, we're gonna do general,
Yep.
and not necessarily in that order,
Yep.
but general,
The first Thursday, right? Didn't we?
the first
four-
Thursday.
the
I'm
14th.
sorry.
You got the
It's actually the 15th now, right? Or no?
No, the
14th.
It's
It
the
is
14th, you're right.
So we're gonna do general, that first Thursday, we're gonna do general.
Yep,
We're gonna do public safety,
yep,
and we're going to do employee benefits and CPA,
right.
okay?
That's what I got.
So that's 4. Then on that next Tuesday, we're gonna do schools,
Yep,
we're gonna do human services, and we're gonna do debt and interest.
right.
That's it?
Yep,
And then on the 27th, we're gonna do cultural, public works, and enterprise, and those 2 summaries and estimates.
that's what I got.
So that should
That
be
sounds good.
1, 2, 3. I think that's all. So I'll send it out to everybody if there's a problem, and make sure we got it all squared away. Because I got between now and Wednesday.
Yep. And which ones does Mason come out of?
It's out of cultural and recreation and public works.
So he'll be both nights.
Oh, so
He'll be on that, I mean, he's all set that night,
He's all set
and Public
anyway.
Works is that night.
And public works and
And
enterprise.
enterprise.
So
Yeah,
That's
so he's all
basically
set. We don't
that
need to-
night.
Yeah.
We don't need to pull him out of anywhere else.
No,
Perfect.
it all works
That
out
way
good.
they're all in a big group.
Now, the only trouble with John sometimes, he has a rec meeting.
Right.
Okay, that's a Wednesday.
Right, which I just thought of that, because I know a couple times I've had him come here, and he has a rec
Well, let's see
meeting.
what happens.
I don't know if they have one that night, because that's the last Wednesday of the...
Well, would you be interested, can you meet earlier if needed, or can you,
Yeah, or I could put him on first. I mean, we
That's
could
what I
do
was just thinking.
we could do cultural recreation and his public works first, and then if Joe doesn't mind, because Joe's gonna be longer anyway, Joe's gonna have to stay
Joe's
because
got
of
a lot.
enterprise and
Yep.
public works. I mean, we
Yep.
could just,
And
that
Joe-
way, I know his meeting's not till 6:30, so if he's right here at 6, we can do cultural rec and that part of his
Perfect.
public works, and then we'll put Joe on for the rest of public works and enterprise.
And Joe will be happy because it'll all be one night.
On one night.
So he'll be good anyway.
And John's all on one night too.
Yep,
John's
he'll
all
be
on one
happy.
And then schools,
All right, 3 nights will do it.
We always usually do something.
human
The
services,
last
that's a lot of things, but not, it's not that many.
Little,
Okay, so schools, human services, debt and interest, is that long?
No. No, the only difference is, I mean, I don't have to have you reduce it, but then I gotta, it's
So that actually might be our shortest night, that Tuesday.
yeah, looks like it.
And we could do those 11 and 12, but the summary we probably should do at the end, because those don't take long, those take just a few minutes, so we just read those pretty much, because there's
Yep.
nothing we don't make motions on 11 and 12, those are just part of the budget.
and I have the motions all
Squared away, so
squared away, but I don't wanna give it to you yet.
to the
because-
total figures,
Because if we change that in interest, then.
right, then the figure's gonna change. Gotcha. Okay, well, I'll email it to everybody, and if
Okay.
there's a problem between now and Wednesday or something else.
This looks
let's just-
good. This looks really good.
Okay, I think we're all set there. The last item, and Salem's not here, he was the one that kind of, we put this on for, but Dan and I probably have a few questions, maybe more, so that we can explain it again to the council, is back to that section 260. Just for my own thing, right now you're 800, and I know it's something, 800 over
Almost 9.
net, or 900 over net.
Well, 8, 9, almost
If we
900.
had this,
Uh-huh.
then we would be 1,300,000 over. Is that correct? Because it's
Yep.
about 500,000 for
Right.
the retired health.
That's right.
So we'd be 1,300,000 over. So
Right.
that's, right. So I guess my
Over mandate.
Over mandate.
Yeah,
What you're
over the
mandated by the
required
city. Before we would be
net.
getting fined if we didn't.
Right.
I guess that's quite a thing. I know this is a one-time, we either do it now or don't do it.
Well, we used to always be, there were years that we were 1 million over in the past.
Have we ever been, or you?
Same question.
Oh, go ahead.
You
Go
go.
ahead.
Have we ever been really close to that mandate where we were scared?
I think.
Back in
I think-
08
I think
08
that-
or 04, I remember those were bad years.
I'd have to look it up, but I know that like 2 years ago or something, we were at like 500.
500 over?
Yeah.
So in effect, if we did this, we'd be well within it, because we'd be a million.
What the advantage for us, just from, because what I'm trying to defeat is,
Hi.
what are you looking for?
I just. Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Sorry. No.
I'm glad there's somebody else in this world, even younger people that do it. So the question I have, Melissa, the advantage of this, I know the advantage is if we get close, but is there an advantage in the state seeing that we're that much higher over net spending? So the advantage for us is a financial advantage in that we can always be above net spending by adding this 500, or we can be better above net spending. Because, the perception is you have to be above, to say that you're doing as much as you can for the schools. If you add this, perception is, well, we're doing really well. But the other part of that, the thing that Salem brought up, which is my first reaction to reading this, was a wrong perception that we're doing something to the teachers' health insurance.
No.
We're not. I know that, but I'm worried about people's perception. When Salem brought that up, it gave me pause. This is, what are they thinking we're going to use this for? To reduce the budget so that we can cut it somehow? I mean, do you see what I'm getting at? I mean, is there a perception issue with this? Do you think there's a perception issue that could come out?
There's always a perception issue that could come up because, people are skeptical of, different, it is different legislation and it could be perceived, I can't, certainly not in this administration where, we're going over and above to provide. It's obvious. This is a horrible budget, horrible. Even worse than last year, and we're still providing a little more than last year. So I don't think the perception would be in this administration, but there's, could always be a perception where people that aren't aware would think it would be, something
A game
for
or
the
a plan.
future, or somebody could use it that way.
Right,
Of course.
different administration.
Of course, exactly. Different administration, different time, different financial times.
Well, I was going to say, it's really sort of a safety valve for real bad times. Where you would...
Anytime, Jessica. I'm glad. And don't hesitate to call me if I wasn't.
Oh, I can do that.
Absolutely, you have my number.
I guess you brought it to us, and maybe I got... I assumed you were supportive of it.
Well, here's
and then
the thing.
at the council, I did not say you didn't say you were supportive, but I didn't know.
Well,
It seemed like you didn't really
Here's the thing.
care either way.
I think that the whole point was, exactly. The whole point is when something comes our way like this, and when it was brought to our attention, and and Melissa spotted it. Her first question was she didn't want it. We want to make sure it doesn't affect our Chapter 70, like what we get. It's like, no, we're not taking any chances on having cuts there. So
You're sure of that? That's an important thing.
So that was the first thing. So after
And you checked that out with the state?
yeah, like she made a lot of calls and double checking to make sure, and it's like, no, it's not. So so it comes out exactly what it's designed for. It's designed for communities that are not meeting their net mandates, so that they can comply, and what they want to do is not fine them because they haven't been fining them, but so that's
That's a pretty good...
exactly. So when you see some type of legislation coming out to help communities that are not meeting their the required amounts, then the perception is, well, then does that in turn things around? So for us, we provide for our education because we want excellence in education, and it's our community. So is it our intent to make any changes? Absolutely not. But if we were not to bring it to you and just say, oh yeah, we're not interested in that, that's not appropriate, because it's your decision as legislators. So it's like, if we didn't bring it your way, then we're making the decision that the city is not to have this. And that is not right.
But what I'm hearing, which is very helpful, by the way, is that we don't need it. I don't think we need it because we're not one of those communities that are at the edge, which is what this is designed to help. We're not one of those communities. So back to the perception issue. If somebody thinks, because Salem said that, so the first thing in his mind is, well, what's the perception? Is if somebody thinks we're using it as a tool against the schools somehow, which is not, could be further from the truth, why do it if we don't need it? So that's what's in my head. So
Because there's only
would
one
Counselor-
opportunity to do it.
Right.
you don't get another opportunity ever?
No.
Well, I mean, the last time was like
this-
92.
Oh, so it takes 20 years.
It was like
who
Ed
knows when it'll
Reform,
come
right?
around
It was
again.
like Ed Reform when it first came out. It was like
Right.
92. This is the first opportunity.
That's important too.
This is the
That's very
first
important.
opportunity cities that didn't take it have it to take it.
And
So-
Councilor Hagan brought up a really good point. It's a protection for your future.
Right.
You don't know what happens 10, 20 years from now, and you won't have that option. If you don't vote in the
Basically, this is the
legislation,
only opportunity we have to do this. you say.
that's why it has that deadline.
That's why the mayor's saying, if we didn't bring it forward to you, we made a decision.
Right.
And the decision was not to do it.
Right.
Because if we weren't having this discussion, then by omission,
Right.
You made the decision.
Yeah, and
No,
that's
I understand
not-
that.
yeah.
But you also bring up a good point. You bring up a good point. It's a safety valve. That's swaying me the other way, because if it's a safety valve and we're never going to get another opportunity to accept this chapter, or it may not happen for 20
Right.
years, then
Who
we
knows?
should consider it seriously, because it is a safety valve should the bottom fall out and crisis occur. But what
without a
bothers
crystal
me
ball.
is that they're going to fine us and they're not giving us enough money. That bothers me that law even exists. But that's another story.
But I guess the only thing I have paused since we thought this, and I'm still supportive of it too, in the general
I
sense,
think I'm more inclined
is
to the opportunity.
I truly believe this administration word that you wouldn't touch it, but you don't know 10 years from now or 15 years from now when Karen decides she doesn't want to be mayor anymore. I'm just kidding. And, somebody
15
else.
years, huh? She may not be mayor for 15 more minutes.
You don't know.
I'll need a bigger pen.
You don't know if a new mayor has a less friendly attitude toward education, and could certainly use that as a
Yeah,
way
I'm
of
not
saying.
worried about that. We have a lot of checks.
But
and
I mean,
balances in the
they would
system.
do that at their peril
Yeah.
with the council and with the schools. I mean,
Well, if the council could say, if it ever got to be that way, where we're that, and if we ever had a mayor that was like that, and I was telling the council, I'd say, well, we're cutting the budget here until you put it back, so we can put it back into schools. Because if they took the money from the schools, what are they putting? They're putting, let's hire 10 more policemen. Well, I'm in favor of 10 more policemen, but not at the sacrifice
The
of schools.
equity.
So we'll cut the policemen until you decide to put it back. So we'd have that kind of back and forth, because that's what would happen. God forbid. And over the 20 years we've been a city, that's never happened. And, Mike was a good mayor, and he had his points of view, though. He wasn't afraid to express. He never went that way.
No, because
I mean,
it's your
come on.
community.
It's your house. It's you live here.
I was just gonna say, I can't imagine anybody, but again, we just want, it is something to look at seriously for the future, so.
But you know what I just thought of?
And
If we were able to up that net spending figure to over $1 million, the other part of the perception is we support the schools to the people out there choosing to come to East Hampton. These parents that might choose East Hampton. They look at that figure. They don't know what's involved in that figure, but they look at that figure. We are spending is more than we have to by $1 million and such dollars. And maybe we should choose East Hampton. So there's a perception on both sides, is what I'm getting at, that I like. So I'm convincing myself that I'm going to keep my vote. See, that's all.
it's a difficult thing, and I think what we just really want to make sure that we really get out there, and it's like right where you're going with this. In no way, shape, or form, you can see how hard we are stretching. In this year's budget, when you're going through that and you see the numbers and you see, the over required amount that we're providing, I think that, there's no way, shape, or form
Well, the
are we
people who
trying
don't like
to.
the schools, I'm not afraid to say it on the air, the Don Zekowskis who want to take 25% from schools and pave all the roads. they see that figure and go, well, why do we have to do that? And I'm going, because we care about our kids. Give me a break. But, you know, all I'm saying is, if the perception issue comes along that way, I can counter the perception issue that we are going to attract more people to East Hampton schools because we are spending that money. Now, we have programs they wish they could add, languages, everything, but we still. I've convinced myself that this is a good thing.
Now, the last thing.
Oh, you have another thing? All right.
No, it's just, as Melissa said, that this is our one opportunity.
Right.
But also, if I read it, if we take this opportunity, there's no
one
going back. You
Right.
can't undo it. So it's not something that...
But how does it...
No, I'm just saying that you can't, 5 years from now, a new council can't say, hey, we don't like that.
Right.
Because we don't want to be counted in net spending to have more money spent.
No, I'm just-
We
I'm
want
just-
to be fine.
Well, it's the
I'm not saying it's a
permanency of
problem.
it.
I'm just saying it's a
Good point.
permanency of...
You're right.
Those are good points.
It's irrevocable,
Yep.
Right.
but it also, if you're gonna act on it, it must be acted on by June 1st.
Right.
But
Those are
I-
good points. The permanency, the protections, there's a lot of things to consider.
I've convinced myself. I'm not changing my vote. I don't think we need to do anything with this except...
Oh, no, I'm not, right.
Because we already voted yes.
We already voted yes.
But
and
I
I'm
think in
still-
discussing this with you, I got more things to say.
But I think we can have a little more
Back and
informed
forth.
discussion with
Yes,
the rest of the
yes.
councilors.
And I like it if you or Melissa would say exactly what you said. If you had not brought it to the council, it would be you making a decision for us. Because some people will say, just as I started to say, we don't need to do this because we're over in that. But it still would be you making that decision when it's a legislative act that we have to decide.
And I tried to mention that at the city council meeting. It's a legislative decision, you know, so it's not appropriate for anyone else
The
to be
other
making
thing
that
that's
decision
real
for
important,
you.
like you said.
You know, and
Because a lot
And
of
if-
these
what if you
acts
found out about it?
A lot of these acts, like there was one that Councilor Cobb brought forward about the tax title thing, but we can keep bringing that back.
right.
Right.
If
Right.
you want to.
This one is
Right.
one shot to do it. and
Yeah,
then-
and then what if we just didn't mention this to you at all, and then you happened to read something about other communities, and you would have said, hey, what's that? Oh yeah, we didn't think you were interested?
No, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? Come on, like it's just,
But what really affects me too is this does not affect Chapter 70 grant
no, that was
spending.
important to us.
That's really important because if they say, all right, you're that far above, we can give you less money.
Yes.
That would be the first thing people could say.
You got that right.
And you got anything like an email in writing about that, Melissa?
No, I don't, but I have, like, the net school spending formula is based on EQB and some other things, you know, basically how wealthy is your community, not how much you spend. And then
Oh, okay.
I talked to, at a conference where they talked about this, I talked to one of the DESI representatives whose name honestly I don't remember, and I said, you know, is there any harm in doing this? And he said the only harm is the political perception. Why would you want to do it if you don't need to?
Exactly what we said.
Yeah.
Right.
Did this-
And of course, the timing, you know, if it was, I don't think it would even, if it wasn't budget time, and it doesn't affect this budget.
Right.
But I mean, if it wasn't budget
doesn't
time,
affect-
It just makes it more...
yeah.
Well,
You know what I'm
it-
saying? It's just a little bit
It
hotter.
transfers money from one segment of the budget and non-net to net.
But not this year.
Next year, it'll be higher.
Did you ever get any
It's
comments from either the school committee or the superintendent on this, or they never?
No.
I mean, not that they necessarily were
They know
waiting.
we're doing it. We're considering
Yeah,
it.
I've talked to Nancy several times
But
about it.
And
she
she said
didn't,
no problem.
didn't
She's concerned about perception.
say that.
But as I said, you're not going to reduce net spending because now you have $500 million more dollars or somehow. And
500.
if the perception is we are spending that much more in schools, it may attract more students from outside the district to come here. If we're showing. The public political perception is, oh, you're playing a game with finances. Yeah, but it doesn't hurt anything. We are not playing a game. We're changing fiscal. We're creating a safety net, God forbid, in the future. Because the state has a stupid law that says we're going to fine you if you can't spend enough money. What do you want us to do? Cut?
And I believe they're going to start going after them. That's why they're letting
Just
people
giving them their chance.
they're letting people have the opportunity to accept this legislation, so that if they do, and then they're still not meeting it, that's it. And if they don't, they don't. But I think they're going to start.
Do we know
Is
what
there-
the fines are?
because they've, they've been waiving them and trying.
Are the fines like a percentage, or you don't?
Yeah, but what kills me is, what do they expect these communities to do? Cut what? What are they spending the money on that they think is wrong?
Well, the other
It's-
thing too is like, well, if you don't have the money to fund the schools and you send it to the state for a fine, then you're not really.
Not really.
It's a double.
It's like a
whammy.
double.
Right, you know?
But what I don't understand, these communities that are hurting like that, where are they gonna take the money from, what to pay what? I mean, I've been in this long enough to know that it's
Yeah.
not, there's no river of funds out there.
One of them is, like they're looking at everything they can, I mean, they do the same thing we do. They look at everything that they can cut to provide. And, sometimes that money's out of the stone.
64% spending on schools. Anyway, I'm okay with
Well,
this.
is it that-
But, I have to tell you this. If others are really worried about it and the vote goes down, it won't kill me. I don't know. I'm gonna try and,
I just think we can articulate the
a
issue.
little better about
Right,
it.
and see how the council
You
goes.
think you could get something in writing about Chapter 70? Is that worth doing? Because that's an important thing. Because
I don't think so.
he won't go on saying this does not affect anything. The guy, nobody will go on the record. Because that scares me a little bit, Karen, doesn't it? It doesn't scare you that
No,
they're afraid
because
they're not going to go on the record?
that whole thing with 70 and the formula and the whole way it's funded, I mean, that whole thing needs to be looked at to begin with. I mean, it's a mess. It's like communities at us. How many times are we going to go around about this formula? And then, once you start with the formula, it just gets me going. I mean, this whole thing about charter, it's like, just give them their own 70. Give us,
Yours.
give the city of East Hampton our 70, and whatever charter schools, give them their 70. Just fund them directly. Just leave us out of the mix.
No,
Maybe it'd be a little simpler. They won't
There's
give
so
us as
many
much,
different,
but-
and that's, like, we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but everybody, it is really coming to the forefront. Something needs to be done. The days of living on your local aid are over.
Well, anyway, I don't have any other questions.
No, I think we got a lot more information to articulate the issue and let the councilors decide.
Okay.
And I think move we adjourn. I second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much. Hope we didn't.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for working out that schedule.
Okay, and I'll